Morning, everybody. Bentley, too damn many projects with another one of those damn projects. This is the 1960 Bentley S2 project, rare car, left-hand drive, uh, great bones, just aged, new gasket seals, wires everywhere, paint needed to be done. There's a horrible paint job that was on there. You see this red that's on these splash pans. We call those valences. But they're splash pans. This is a large rear piece, and this side suffers from some body damage. And at some point later in the videos, we'll get into the part that was damaged above it. Is basically the metal around the right rear tail light. It's extremely complex, and there's holes in it. It was bondoed up. Not even a very good job. But that's going to have to be fixed here on the splash pan. Not a big deal. But what we started talking about yesterday, and I put a short video up because every painter in the world hates stripping cars. I didn't like it when we used aircraft stripper. Let me tell you what aircraft stripper was like. You would put the catalyst in it. The smell would clear your sinuses and then fry them, okay? If you got it on your hands, you would immediately need to get water on it because it's going to eat your skin right off. I mean, talk about a frickin', peel. It's right there, man. It does the job. But it took paint off. In fact, you had to be careful. It would probably dissolve most of the appendages of an aircraft, so hence the term aircraft stripper. You might end up with a pair of wheels and a motor when you're done. Don't get it on the plexiglass and call that nighttime. It's over with. But we haven't had anything like that for years because the environmentalists out here that think they know so much about eliminating carbon dioxide and carbon and stuff, which are building blocks of life. This stupidity has just gone beyond belief. Well, they've modified every product that we have, and they pick on us in the business rather than solving a problem. They just jerk us around. But I've tried 3 or 4 different strippers I've gotten from professional supply stores, and none of it was any good. Now, mind you, this red, if you use something like this guy here, see that wheel? Those are beautiful. It puts a great finish on it. How about a flapper disc? See that? This is our dirty teardown table, so don't get too excited about it. It's not supposed to be clean. Those flapper discs are great, but they generate a shitload of heat, and they can warp panels. They can take metal off. They can round corners. If you got leading in there, which this car has buku amounts of lead, it'll grind the lead right off. So you're going to be reforming everything, and make just twice as much work for yourself. But still, we had to take and get rid of this paint. The red either was, I don't know what it was, but it's some cockamamie crap. It was cracked all over and blistering and doing horrible things. It was a paint over. The car was originally silver. You would get about 2 or 3 passes with one of those wheels, those flapper discs, and then it would start gumming up, which would load up the flapper disc with crap, and you'd get these literally molten, plastic paint areas, and then you'd have to let it cool. This is kind of one of them right here we ran into. It's just the same with this over here. You got a little of that, this and that. But we looked for this stripper, and the other night I was watching YouTube, trying to figure out what to do and how to do it because I'm terrible at doing YouTube, but I'll just bring you the information and don't worry about the cinematography. I'm definitely not Cecil B. DeMille. I have no skills in that area. I make Bentleys and Rolls Royces look really good. I make your motorhomes run really good. I make it so your batteries don't wear down. So this is the forte here, and not cinematography. So, forgive it or not, it's good information, just poorly presented. But I'm watching this video, and there's a guy down in Florida who's restoring cars, and he had, I think it was an old TR6. He put this stripper on it, and he just loads it up, comes back the next morning, the paint's laying there all over the place. Well, I'm like, okay, this is good. I like this. I'm going to try it. So I went to my local Home Depot. He says you can get it at Lowe's. we're going to take a little walk over here. We're going to visit this can of Stripper. Now, guys, we don't have enough views and we don't have enough subscribers to get sponsored by anybody. And I would love to be sponsored by a product or two. I mean, it would be great like some of the other guys. Probably not good enough to do that. And I'm probably doing stuff that's too obscure and too, out there to, get a sponsorship. But if I find a product I like that really does the job, if somebody says, hey, you're going to pay me $20 for a bucket of this shit, and it does the job, I'm happy about it. I'm so used to paying $50 for a bucket of shit, and that's all it is, a bucket of shit. Get no value out of it. So when I don't like that, and so when I see something along the lines of this product, let me tell you, here's the product, okay? This is it. No sponsorship, nothing. I'm like, citrus gel. Isn't that interesting? Citrus strip. Home Depot, he got it at Lowe's. I went and picked some up yesterday. Skeptical as hell, but willing to try. So last night I made a little video. I splashed this stuff on here. Told you I was waiting overnight. Well, it's, 7-ish Pacific, no daylight time. It's been in a cool shop all night. So it's not 41 degrees out. I don't think it's that warm. So I didn't leave heat on or anything because heat will make this stuff evaporate and go away. The guy covers his stuff with plastic. You don't have to do it here. This isn't Florida. But I was shocked. I got results immediately. There's some areas that stripped out with no problems whatsoever. And so here we are this morning, and I have my trusty scraper. This is a gasket scraper. You can buy these things at, that place? I like to talk about them because they generally make good products. I don't have a lot of trouble with them. So Harbor Freight, great place to go. If you're doing a one-off job, you can buy a tool. If it doesn't last, so what? If it does, you've got a bonus. We switched to Harbor Freight sockets years ago instead of buying them off the damn trucks because I can buy the same socket set they sell me for $300 for $30 at Harbor Freight. And when you're working in the field, you lose them all the time. So why bother? And the tools seem to work. Okay, here we are. I'm going to show you. Look at this. See what's happening here? I'm trying to focus on this and focus on what I'm doing. But the long and short of it is, let's scrape some of that crap off of there. I didn't brush that on very well. The long and short of it is, look at this. The paint's going away. Now, even with old strippers, we would have to reapply a couple of different times. It would basically, a lot of the stuff would try to go off in layers, and that's fine. I don't care. I just want it to go. Look at this. It's all out here. It's going away. Look at that. Just coming right off of there. Gobs and gobs of paint. I'm going to, look, that's paint. Here we are on the other piece. This is the centerpiece on the Bentley. The grill fits. If you sit back, the grill fits in here. So this one has the shape of the grill at the bottom. And it has two wings, which I've already cleaned up and ready to paint. Start priming and painting. But if you have a Rolls Royce, it's straight across. If you have a Bentley, it's V. So that's the way they did them. They're basically the same car. And look at this. See how much paint's going away? It's taking it right off. And I didn't have to wear a respirator. I didn't have to. I did glove my hands. Now, at this stage of the game, the gloves are unnecessary because this stripper's, it's done. It's over with. It's done its job. And it's just sitting here. Look at this. I never knew this stuff worked. Go figure. I'm not going to eat oranges anymore. Actually, I don't eat fruit. It's too much sugar. Look at this. There's a whole peel of paint coming right up there. Look at that. Just a whole strip of paint. We're actually down to the red primer. Originally, it was put on the car. Right there. We just stripped down the red primer, which is hard to get off, but I will be able to remove it with a second application. Well, I wanted to throw this at you. I've got to go chase parts in Seattle today. We've got a truck that's down, and need to get it running and moving. It's one of those big tanker trucks. It's one of the fantastic new smog devices they put on the trucks. They've been around since 2007, but it's still junk. I use that scraper because of the proximity of curves and stuff on here. I mean, most people would be better off using a putty knife, and I will too on the flat surfaces. But, you know, you can see this thing, this stuff breaks it up. It's over with. There's just, you know, I wish I'd had it. I don't get upset that I didn't have a product or something to make my life easier. The fact that I discovered it at the, you know, in the 99th percentile of the job, that just doesn't bother me. I mean, anything you discover that makes your life easier and makes it better, enjoy. Here we are right here. There's some more of that. See, there's the original primer down there, getting a little shine in there. See, there's the original primer. It's taking all that paint. It's taking the red that was put on top. See how it's crazed? It's got cracks and crazing in it. That's because it's broken up and it's ready to come off. So basically you had the red primer, then the original factory silver, then the Bozo red was put on top. And this car has, oddly enough, this car has a red interior. Try to match a red exterior with a red interior. The customer was right. I mean, we originally decided we're going to do this with, well, hell, he and we all decided we're going to do the silver, and I got a really pretty silver for it that just makes this car jump. I came in one Sunday, I got $1,500 worth of Brandywine 3-stage House of Colors, and it's sitting there on the counter, and he says, I'm not going to do it in red. I'm like, it took me a minute. Okay, I mean, I'm not against it. I was just shocked when he said it. He says, want to do it black. And let me take you over here. I've got a little rendering he did. He had a picture of the car changed over to black instead of red. It's not a great picture, but it looks so much better with black, and that's silver on the top. This is an original picture of the car, and it was in this red that we're scraping off now. And the original silver on top, painted over 37 times, with the red down on the bottom where you see the black. And he got a wild hair one night and said, you know what? He says, that red will never match the upholstery. And he was absolutely right. So he had this Photoshop done in black, and the car looks much, much, much more elegant. And I like it. I didn't argue with him. I don't argue with customers anyways, but you give you kind of a quick tour of what's going on in this thing. This is, there's two parts to the hood on these. This one's leaning up against an old truck. It's primered, it's ready to get final block, and then we'll paint. What did I do with the other piece? The one that I did as a test that sold him on it, I did this silver. Here's the rest of the pieces. Those are the rest of the skirts up front. And there's the gas filler door, all aluminum. And here's one of the fenders they call a wing. This one's in actually really, really, really good shape. It's in great shape. The right-hand side was fabulous. The left has some problems. We got to get in on this fender and get the rest of that red off there. I put primer on it so it wouldn't rust. This door is the right front door, and it is beat senseless. We've got several coats of 2K primer on here. What you're seeing, this black, is what's called a guide coat. And where you see that I've sanded, here's a spot right here. See that spot? That's a low spot. That's a dent. And we work those out from the inside as best we can. If we can fill it with the primer, that's great. If we can get it out from the inside, that's fine. But there's framing and creases and stuff in here. If you start getting over to the edges, you'll start stretching the metal, and it'll go to crap on you and ruin the whole job. So a little discretion there. Where's the rest of this thing going to? I put the finished fender up where it wasn't going to mess with. Here's some doors again, and typical aluminum doors, low spots. The metal coming through the primer, that's a high spot. Those are high spots. So we're getting it smoothed out. There's rippling up here. That's been there for years. We're getting that out so there's no distortion. Same with this door. When we're talking about the sides of it, you have a lip underneath here where the metal's folded around, and then there's you can see the shape of the door. And then, yes, that paint's all coming off the inside. but it doesn't have all the problems the outside did. So it's changed. These are all low spots. This is all low. And your frame is the high spot in here. That's your frame support. And so this dent right here, it's very difficult to work. I don't want to be drilling holes in aluminum and pulling them out. That's not the principle. I'm actually going to get behind it and tap this one back out. I should be able to do that. But the idea is to, here you can see highs and lows in that ridge. So there's a couple of low spots right there. And then over here, we get highs and lows on the end where the door handle goes. Go figure. Here's another fender. We just cut out a piece of metal that was rusted and build a new piece of metal. And while we're at it, there's these two guys. All I'm going to do is grind those out, put a couple of little round pieces of metal in there, weld them. Should be picking up a TIG welder today. We've been talking about that. And TIG weld is so much cooler and better than MIG. Makes a lot less mess and does a nicer job. So we're just going to patch those with 2 pieces of metal. And then I'll get in there from the back and I'll blast it real good with the pressure washer and blow it out and do whatever I can. And then once it's totally clean in the lip back there where it's all folded over, I'm going to, from the inside, I'm going to make sure that there's basically the best paint in the world for rust is Rust-Oleum. So we're going to do the whole inside of this fender when it's clean with Rust-Oleum. And then we'll put undercoating on it, sound deadening and so forth. There's a whole ridge line down here. I don't think you can see it in this video. There's a whole line where they've drilled holes and pulled the metal out. I'm going to have to, they just bonded them. I'm going to actually go in there and drill those out so that there's no Bondo, and then I'm going to weld them up with the TIG. Here's the piece of the hood that's done. It's dirty, but this is our silver. It hasn't been cut and buffed, but there's 6 coats of House of Color clear on this, and just you can see how it sparkles in the fluorescent. You ought to see it in the sunlight. It looks dark when it's in the garage. You pull it outside and it pops. So I'm excited about the color. No, it's not a factory color. I'm sorry. Factory silver is hideous. And then, of course, you've been following me on the window project. Those power window motors, not difficult, but you got to know what you're doing. You don't tear into those, and hope to God that you can get it back together. Here's some of the door panels, and there's a lovely wood cap rail here. I have the dash cap right here, which is suffering some little problems, cracked wood along this lip. So we're going to take and fix that and refinish that. And of course, it's going to, they use real lacquer on these things, the old nitrocellulose lacquer, and it's garbage, is what they had. But what ends up happening is the sunlight wrecks it. So whenever I do an interior wood on a Rolls-Royce or a Bentley, I will strip it down, and very little sanding, because you're looking at veneer. Okay, this does not go all the way through the wood. This is just a very thin surface of veneer. The rest of it's this wood here. Okay, they build the shape and then glue the veneer on it, and you've got 2 different types of wood. You've got kind of a zebra wood here, and then you've got the burl, which is Circassian burled walnut, and it's yellowed, and that's the color that's the lacquer has become. So we strip it off, and we get everything, in bare wood, and then set the coloring of it with the stain, and so it all matches. We don't do any pieces by themselves. We have to have the next piece that's in line right with it so that we can make sure that it's consistent. And then without sanding it, it's already been sanded and we're already putting the stain on it, and we've wiped it down and made it nice and clean. We're going to come back and put probably 15 to 20 coats of that new House of Colors RU Clear. That stuff's amazing. It has more solids than any other clear on the market, and is the highest UV protection. And the guy that started the company, and he's still with them even though Valspar owns them, he He and his chemists developed this clear. It's the best on the market. I used to use Glazerite exclusively. It was wonderful. This stuff's better than Glazerite. Not only that, it sprays amazingly well. I've watched videos of people shooting this stuff, and they don't even drip in the door, in the doors in the middle, the door frames and so forth. They take their doors out, and they're painting the framing work, which is straight vertical, of course. Nah, it sticks like glue. And the stuff's just wonderful. It's expensive, and it's worth every penny of it. But we'll get 15 to 20, and then we'll cut and buff this down, and it'll look like a diamond when it's done. So lots of work, lots of fun, but this car is going to be an amazing car. And it's going to be no excuses. So you see what we're doing here. We got the stripper done. The whole idea of this video is to give you the results, tell you how good Citrus Strip is, because I've never seen anything like it, and I'm pretty happy. So guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, because we need the people, and put a like on it, and we'll go from there. But thanks for watching. Take care now. Have a great day. Bye-bye.